I am Caitlin Giles McCormick, here with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Today's session is an informational overview on the CSIT Research and Development Voucher Programs. The goals of these programs may be pretty specific, so if you aren't directly eligible, please keep in mind that there are some other programs from CSIT and NJEDA. Now, to get us started with the actual content of today's presentation, I'm going to shift things over to CSIT Program Officer Franklin Durake. Franklin?
Sure. Thank you, Caitlin. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's informational webinar on the launch of CSIT's Research and Development Voucher Pilot Programs. That is the Cleantech R&D Voucher Pilot Program Round 3 and Catalyst R&D Voucher Pilot Program Round 2. Like Caitlin said earlier, my name is Franklin Durake, Program Officer for the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. Today, we'll be covering the following topics: an overview of the program, the submission process, eligibility criteria, required documents, terms and conditions, some important details, and lastly, the program's timeline. We will also save some time for Q&A at the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, please place them in the Q&A section. The voucher program, just like other CSIT signature grant programs, support early stage research and development. CSIT's voucher programs aims to support New Jersey-based companies to accelerate the commercialization and deployment of innovation clean energy technologies by demonstrating the technology's capabilities in a real-world setting. The objectives of the voucher programs are: 1, to improve awareness, access to, and utilization of New Jersey's world-leading equipment, facilities, and makerspaces, and 2, subsidize access to research and development equipment, facilities, makerspaces for small New Jersey-based companies that are developing innovative technologies. The voucher program is an early-stage research and development grant, and it is strictly to support New Jersey-based companies who require access to core facility labs, equipment, and makerspaces, and any participating NJ University or federal laboratory facility for clean tech energy research and development. For companies interested in grants to fund later stages of their R&D work, we are happy to connect with you offline about other CSIT opportunities. CSIT offers two R&D pilot voucher programs, which are the Cleantech Voucher Programs Round 3 and the Catalyst Voucher Program Round 2. The Cleantech Voucher focuses on the following targeted areas: chemicals and advanced materials, energy distribution and storage, energy efficiency, energy generation, green buildings, transportation, waste processing, and energy generation, while the Catalyst Voucher focuses on the following: advanced manufacturing, advanced transportation and logistics, film and digital media, life sciences, non-retail food and beverage, professional and financial services, and technology. Please note that the voucher program is not competitive. Applications will be reviewed for eligibility, completeness, and reasonableness of proposed projects. Provided that funding is available, all completed applications that meet the eligibility criteria and are in compliance with required documentation are eligible for funding. Here we have a list of our core facility partners involved in the voucher program. They include universities, community colleges, federal laboratories, and nonprofit laboratories. The Cleantech R&D Voucher Pilot Program Round 3 has a budget of $300,000. Eligible companies can receive multiple vouchers up to a cap of $40,000 over any 12-month period. After a preliminary review of draft applications, applicants will receive a submission code from CSIT to submit a final application. Applicants will have 6 weeks to complete their application. Applications will be accepted on a rolling basis until funds are exhausted. All approved vouchers are valid for 12 months, with the possibility of a one-time 3-month no-cost extension upon grantee's request and CSIT's sole discretion following a review of the extension requests. Kindly note that all unused vouchers expire after 12 months. Here are some eligible users under the voucher program. Access to core lab facilities, equipment, makerspaces, and technology centers. 2, user facility equipment and technicians for testing and development. And lastly, training in preparation for independent use of the facility equipment or makerspaces. Companies applying to the CleanTech voucher must fall in between technology readiness level, TRL for short, scores of 1, which is basic research, to TRL 7, which is integrated pilot system demonstrated. The TRL score is only required for CleanTech voucher applicants. Now to the Catalyst voucher program. The Catalyst voucher program has a budget of $497,500. Eligible companies can receive multiple vouchers up to a cap of $40,000 over any 12-month period. Just like with the CleanTech voucher, after a preliminary review of draft applications, applicants will receive submission code from CSIT to submit a final application. Applicants will have 6 weeks to complete the application. Applications will be accepted on rolling basis until funds are exhausted. All approved vouchers are valid for 12 months with the possibility of a one-time 3 months no-cost extension upon grantee's request and CSIT's sole discretion following a review of the extension request. Again, all unused vouchers expire after 12 months. The same eligible users as the CleanTech voucher applies to the Catalyst voucher program. On this slide is a quick overview of the application process. In the next slide, we will go into details of the application process. The voucher program is formatted into 2 parts, a draft application and the full application. The voucher application will launch mid-November 2023, exact date to be determined. Applicants are strongly encouraged to start preparing for applications by gathering required documents ahead of time. We will talk about these documents in the course of this presentation. It is important to note that on CSIT's website, a sample application will be provided for prospective applicants to review. The website is www.njeda.com/CSIT. When starting a draft application, applicants will be required to create a user ID and password to log in and out of the application portal. If at any point you run into issues with the login process, please email us at csitcleantech@njeda.com for CleanTech voucher applications or csitcatalyst@njeda.com for Catalyst voucher applications. Our IT office will be ready to immediately address any issues as they arise. When logged in, applicants will have to select one of the listed CSIT voucher programs, that is the CleanTech R&D Voucher Pilot Program, Round 3, or the Catalyst R&D Pilot Voucher Program, Round 2. Applicants must meet all of the voucher eligibility requirements at the time of application and throughout the duration of the project to be eligible for the voucher program. We will review the eligibility requirements in the coming slides. The application information section requires applicants to provide basic contact information about the company, which includes name, address, phone numbers, etc. The primary contact information will require the contact information for the principal contact or principal investigator on the application or project. Applicants will be required to answer some state eligibility questions. Then a brief description will be required as well as a project description. Please be mindful that as you complete both parts of the application process, there are specific word limits designated for all of the narrative questions. If you exceed the word count limit, a message will pop up for you to review your answer. Applicants will be required to complete a legal questionnaire. Applicants will have an opportunity to include supporting documents with their applications. Applicants with missing documentation will be given 10 business days to provide them. For task clearances, applicants will be given 30 days to submit their document. Applications that do not meet up with these deadlines will be declined. Applicants should ensure the core facility partners they will be working with submit a support letter to CSIT to support the company's applications. Once the support letter is received and it follows the prescribed format, CSIT will send the submission code to the applicant to complete the application. An employee log will be embedded in the application for applicants to complete. One of the eligibility criteria for the voucher program is that applicants must have a minimum of 1 full-time employee and a maximum of 50 full-time employees, all calculated on a full-time equivalent basis, which is 35 hours per week. The employee log should include everyone that works for the company, paid or unpaid. Applicants should keep in mind that they would be required to provide employee verification that they will be required to provide employee verification, which we will be talking about the kinds of documents that satisfy this requirement in the coming slides. CSIT staff will review each final application submissions for document completeness. CSIT will issue voucher, will review, each final application submissions for document completeness. CSIT will issue voucher awards to eligible companies with complete applications. Upon completion of the project, which is 12 months from execution of the grant agreement, awardees will submit closeout documents, which will include project completion report, economic impact report, and university invoices. CSIT will review all submitted documents. Awardees with complete submissions will receive grant payments from CSIT, and they will in turn pay the participating core facilities for use of their equipment or facilities. Here we have a slide on the eligibility criteria for the voucher program. CSIT has standardized eligibility criteria across all our programs. The new eligibility criteria include companies must be authorized and in good standing to conduct business in New Jersey as evidenced by a current NJ tax clearance certificate listing CSIT, or certificates listing another state agency will be rejected. Companies or applicants must have no more than 50 full-time equivalent workers calculated on a 35 hours work week at time of application. Companies or applicants must have a minimum of one-time full-time worker calculated on a 35-hour work week. A worker may be the founder and may be paid or unpaid. 50% or more of the cumulative hours worked by all workers and founders and contractors must be conducted in New Jersey, calculated on a full-time equivalent basis, which is 35 hours per week. Applicants must have less than or equal to $5 million in prior calendar year sales revenue, excluding grant revenue. In addition to this, for emphasis, voucher applicants must obtain a signed approval letter from a participating university or college, federal lab, or nonprofit organization confirming that the research facility is capable and willing to provide the services that will be supported by the voucher. Here you would find information on the documents required for a complete voucher application. Please take note of those documents and start now to get those documents ready ahead of the program launch in November. Here are some terms and conditions for the voucher program. 1, applicants must provide an economic impact report for 2 years post-project or program completion. And applicants must agree that employees and consultants will conduct at least 50% of the work calculated on a full-time equivalent basis in the state of New Jersey for a period of 2 years from the effective date of the grant agreement. Please note that failure to comply with this will result in full repayment of grant within 60 days of relocation or as conditions states in the grant agreement. Here we'll find some important information to know. It is highly recommended that all prospective applicants read the program's NOVA and constantly check the FAQs for updates. All questions received and answers provided will be conducted in the form of a frequently asked question, including those from today's presentation, which will be posted and continuously updated on CSIT's website. Please send your questions and inquiries to Franklin Durke and Francis Kill are the listed addresses for CleanTech Voucher and Catalyst Voucher respectively. The application portal, will open mid-November 2023. The exact date will be determined and conveyed to folks. To reiterate on some important information already discussed in this presentation, applicants with missing documentations will receive an email with resubmission letters from CSIT to submit or resubmit any missing or incomplete required documentations within 10 business days. Applications that fail to do so will be deemed incomplete and will not be evaluated. We highly encourage prospective applicants to obtain or start the process of obtaining copies of NJ documentations as early as today, since some state systems may be experiencing longer than usual processing times. For tax clearances, applicants will be given 30 days to submit their documents. Again, applicants who fail to meet this deadline will be deemed incomplete and will not be evaluated. On the program timeline, again, the exact launch date will be communicated to folks. To access the program or the program's application, please visit www.njeda.com/CSIT. The voucher application and awards will be made on a rolling basis until funds are exhausted. Thank you so much for joining us in today's presentation. Again, for all questions and inquiries, you can contact myself or my colleague Francis Kill at the listed email addresses. For information on programs offered by our sister agency, New Jersey Economic Development Authority, please visit www.njeda.gov. Thank you. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
So it seems like we have a few questions here in the Q&A. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to, again, put them in the Q&A. So we'll jump right in. If a company currently has a Catalyst R&D voucher from our round 1, can they apply for the round 2 voucher?
I would say yes. I'm sorry, Franklin.
You could go.
This company has received their reimbursement for round 1 and are eligible to apply for round 2.
So they've used half of the funding. They have not completed.
They've
not, it seems like they've not completed it. They may have just received half of the funding for round 1.
Yes, they didn't use the whole $25,000.
Mm-hmm. So they're still eligible to apply for round 2 if they've submitted the final documents.
Yes.
But just to be clear, they still have to be within the 12 months.
Yes.
They can't submit a new voucher application unless they've completed their 12 months of the grant contract, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Another quick question. Again, everyone on the call will be receiving the recording for this meeting. And as we have other grant webinars, we'll absolutely include you in the recording. So this recording and these slide decks will be available to everyone on the call. An applicant who is a co-founder of a New Jersey-based company and currently working part-time as a part-time employee in a New Jersey State University, are these individuals also eligible to apply for our voucher program?
Yes, they are, as long as they can demonstrate on their application that they have a minimum of 1 full-time equivalent employee working 35 hours a week.
So just to be clear, this is not, it's not one full-time equivalent, it's just 1 full-time employee for our voucher. So in the past, I know we've done the equivalent, but I just want to make sure that, do they have to have just one person doing 35 hours, or can two individuals that are working part-time be equivalent to that one full-time person?
They have to have at least one person working 35 hours a week.
Okay, perfect. Can you give us the difference between clean tech and catalyst programs, and can a company apply for both vouchers at the same time?
So, no, companies cannot apply to both the Catalyst voucher and the Clean Tech voucher. Companies can apply to either the Catalyst voucher or the Clean Tech voucher. I'll speak about the Clean Tech voucher. The Clean Tech voucher is focused on supporting companies, small startup companies and early stage companies who are advancing or promoting the advancement of clean energy, clean technologies within the state. So for your proposed project to qualify as a clean tech program, it has to fall under the 8 targeted industry areas that I talked about earlier in today's presentation, which includes advanced manufacturing or chemicals, energy distributions and storage, energy efficiency, waste processing, water and agriculture, green buildings, transportation, and energy generation. And Francis, you could feel free to talk about Catalyst voucher, please.
Yes, the Catalyst voucher is for companies that are doing research in technology areas, film and digital media, financial technology areas, advanced manufacturing, and life sciences.
And I think we also have non-retail food and
Oh,
beverage.
yes, and non-retail food and beverage, yes.
Perfect. So can you confirm that a requirement for applying is a prior year of 5 million in revenue in terms of a max?
That is correct, excluding grants.
Right. So if you have a federal grant, or state grants, we do not count that as your revenue max. Will an email notification be issued once the application goes live? Again, yes, we will send out an announcement to this listserv, as well as our general listserv of when the application goes live. We also, all of this information in the next few days will be uploaded to our website, as Franklin mentioned, with all of the supportive program documents. So regarding the R&D voucher program, will the fund be paid to affiliated facilities directly?
Yes. So the way the program works is that after completion of the program and closeout of the program, where the awardees submit a closeout documents, which includes the project completion report, economic impact report, university invoices, task clearance and all of that, and we review those and they're in order, we would proceed with the disbursement of the grant amount. And once the awardees receive this check, they can then proceed to pay the core facility partner.
Right. So CSIT pays the company, which is the applicant, and the company pays the facility.
That's correct.
Let's see here. So again, just a quick elaboration on the statement of work process, like who starts it and who gives it to the university?
So that conversation or negotiation will be done with the university. So once we receive an intake form or draft application from interested companies, we would share it with our core facility partners. And once we have a match between a company and a potential core facility partner that can support the project, we would they can then proceed to have that conversation about, you know, the scope of work and finalizing the scope of work.
And just to elaborate on that, you know, if you are currently working with a university partner and you already have a project in mind, this is a great opportunity to leverage. But if you have a project in mind and you're having a hard time engaging any of our university, nonprofit, or core lab partners, you can still submit a project, and we will, as Franklin mentioned, Franklin and Francis mentioned, we will happy to match you with the institution. What happens if the university invoice exceeds the amount of the voucher? Is it hard to estimate? It's hard to estimate exactly how much the services cost at times, especially when experiments are involved and are very difficult to know how much the invoices be. So just maybe you could speak a little bit to that.
Sure. So the program cap is $40,000. So companies, that's something that companies should keep in mind. And in terms of, you know, the actual invoices exceeding that cap, at the time that you're having the conversation with the core facility partner and finalizing the scope of work, it might be something that you would like to bring up so that they would factor that as part of their consideration on to make a determination on if they can support the project or not. Regardless if, you know, we receive an invoice that exceeds that cap, CSIT staff will contact the awardee to notify them that even though that the invoice that we receive exceeds the voucher cap, yes, regardless of the, you know, the invoice that we received, you know, we can only reimburse them, to the cap of the voucher amount. So if the invoice that we received exceeds the 40,000, CSIT staff would make it clear to the awardee that CSIT can only reimburse the company to the tune of the voucher program's cap.
Right. So I think it's very important for everyone on the call and the companies to know, as you're applying, please be mindful. You know, we increased this grant from 25,000 to 40,000. But we know that projects can exceed that amount. So it's important that we, you know, the institutions are aware of our cap, but sometimes they are not. You will be responsible for any of those remaining costs. So please be mindful of that as you're thinking through your scope of work. Also, there are some of this is a reimbursement program. This is not money that's given up front. So again, many of our facilities provide that, but there are some testings that are required, that require dollars and a payment prior to our reimbursement. So that is also something that the company is going to have to be mindful of if they are required to make a payment before you are reimbursed. That's something we can't always control at the various institutions. So I think we have a few more. Franklin, if you want to go back to your slide of required documents, there's a question in terms of what are the list of acceptable documents for paid employees, unpaid employees, and is the list of employees all the company employees or just the employees working under the voucher project itself?
All right, so here are the list of the required documentation, a summary of most recent internal payroll. And for the employee verification document, it includes things such as a most recent federal 941 and NJWR 30, W2 for, W2 employees or 1099 for contractors, and a shareholder agreement. Now, there are some cases where a company might have staff that is unpaid, which is still acceptable. So all the applicant has to do is to certify on a letter, and preferably the company's letterhead, that the staff or the staff in person or employees in person and not paid. And we would want for that letter to be signed and dated and sent to us. And that would suffice, for this employee verification information. Alternatively, companies can also provide an offer letter for their employees or staff. The rest of the required documentations are a current NJ task clearance certificate, which must list New Jersey Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology, as all certificates listing another state agency will be rejected. And one thing, to emphasize about this very requirement, please ensure that the address listed on your current NJ task clearance certificate is coherent with the address that you provide to us at the time of your application. If that is not the case, we would have to ask that you provide us with a task clearance certificate that bears the same address as your application. Another required documentation is a signed CSIT certification, and the link to this will be contained within the application for applicants to download, complete, and provide with their submission. And last is the companies will be required to provide the most recent company tax filing, which is the Federal 941 or NJCBT 100 Schedule A, a Form 1065 or Form 1040 Schedule C, or whichever is applicable to the organization form of the business, showing the total gross receipts or sales for the year.
Right.
Was there another question that I have?
Yeah, the second part, and I think I can quickly answer this, is that are they listing, do we consider all of the employees or just employees working under the voucher? So we're going to ask for all of your employees that work for the company within the employee log of the application. So all of your employees, whether they're W-2s, whether they're contracted, we'll need to know. We'll ask about all of the employees. So a question, if your round one contract date ends after the start of the application period, can you still apply right away, but have the grant contract start after your previous one ends? So, can you apply when you currently have a voucher grant, while you're currently working on a voucher grant?
Sir, I don't think I caught that question, Michael. Could you read that again?
Yeah, so they're asking if the round one contract date ends after the start of the application period for the new round, can they still apply? Can they apply right away, but have the grant contract start after your previous one ends?
So the round two for the Catalyst voucher and the round three program would be on a rolling basis, and company and applicants will be reviewed and awards to be issued as long as on a rolling basis, and as long as funds remains, or as long as there is funds. Now, in terms of application, companies must not, as long as you have an active project or you have not, you're still within the 12 months period of whatever, previous round of the voucher program that you were awarded, you cannot apply for another voucher program. So you must have completed the voucher project or program that you were previously awarded for. And like I said earlier, you must not be within that 12 months period.
So again, some of these are really specific questions. What are some examples of a film and digital media catalyst voucher? These projects can vary. I think the most important thing is that there is a need for specialized equipment at a core facility. So if you are and there is research and development aspects. So again, if there could be software that is at a specific lab or institution that you're using, that you need. There could be filming equipment that you need, but again, it has to be there has to be a clear R&D need, and there has to be a clear specialized equipment that you may need. But we're happy to, Franklin is happy to talk you through your specific project to make sure that they qualify. How long does it take for a program to be approved, assuming everything is in order?
So it's really on individual basis. We find that for the most time, what takes the longest time in the application process is identifying a core facility partner that is willing and able to support a project or, an application. So if you already, have that on lockdown and have a core facility partner who is familiar with your proposed project and who is willing to draft as a support letter for you, then it could take as little as a week to have your application approved and have you on your merry way. So that's why we encourage prospective applicants to start having these conversations and to start also, well, even before that, start seeking out potential core facility partners and have them and familiarize them with their projects so that by the time, the program launches, they can easily, have all those required documents ready for their applications.
Can a university facility outside of New Jersey qualify for receiving the voucher?
Unfortunately, no. Applicants, what the requirement for one of the requirements for the application is that the applicant or the company has to be authorized to do business in New Jersey, evidenced by a tax clearance certificate. And for the voucher program, very importantly, 100% of the R&D work has to be done here in the state of New Jersey.
If a project is started with less than the 40,000, but additional funds are needed, how is the request for an increase facilitated?
So we would applicants would have to contact CSIT staff, and we could have that conversation and potentially have you provide a justification as to the need of the additional amount, and then CSIT would make its decision on that request.
Yeah, but I would also add to that all projects, once you're approved, you receive a grant agreement, which locks you into a specific amount. Now, it's easy to request a 40K and not use all of the 40K, or to split the 40,000 between one or two different core facilities. If you request underneath the 40,000 and you need additional dollars, you unfortunately may have to apply again with a different application so we can put that new amount into the system. And this is usually kind of administrative. Some of these are administrative barriers, but we always advise that you know exactly what you need, because it's difficult for us to give you more dollars. But it's easier for us to say if you needed to break up the dollars or use it at a different facility. Let's just see here. I think we so the starting date for the voucher program, we're looking at around mid-November. Again, it's on, once the applications launch, it will be on a rolling basis. The applications will not close. Let's see here, any other? So will the program cover the expenses during the gap between current and next year applications? So just to be clear, our current applications are closed. there are no current applications. There are a few that we are closing out. But if you have a current application and you were approved for 25,000, we cannot increase it to 40,000. You will close out your grant application based on those eligibility requirements and that amount for the 25,000 in our previous round. This next round, once your grant cycle has completed, you can then apply for the 40,000. Does a partner laboratory that is not an academic institution qualify? So Franklin, I think you had a slide of all of our current facility partners. There are requirements that we do have for an institution to be qualified to participate in this program. If there is, many of them are private, federal, or nonprofit labs. We do not fund private laboratories. If there is an institution that is not listed here that fall within the nonprofit, public, or federal labs, we're happy to talk with you and talk with them to see if they are interested in participating in the program. But we do not fund private labs. So just to be very clear about that. So there's a question on how do you choose the starting date of the 12 months when they are applying?
So you don't choose the starting date. The starting date is the day that the grant agreement is fully executed. So upon approval for a voucher award, applicant, well, at this point, awardees will receive a voucher grant agreement, and they are required to sign off on the agreement and return it to CSIT/EDA for CSIT's executive director to sign. Once you receive this, document back, and you would look on the date that the executive director signed off, that date is the date that your project commences.
Perfect. And I see someone submitted the Rockefeller Bio Metal Informatics Corp. So we'll take a look. Again, we've not worked with that particular facility in the past. We're happy to look up these facilities if they're in New Jersey to see if they would qualify as one of our core facilities for the program. Again, please feel free to also send us an email of any work you've done with any of these the facilities that you're looking to utilize the voucher with. So I think we have Caitlin, I think there's a question around someone still needing an example. For any specific examples on specific projects, I would advise that you email Franklin so he can talk you through project ideas that we have supported in the past for any specific industry area. It's much easier for us to kind of just do a one-on-one if you have a project idea and you're not sure. Franklin, if you don't mind putting your email in the chat, I think that we can do a direct conversation with any company to just make sure that that project qualifies. So whether it's, fintech, non-retail food and beverage, film and digital media, we're happy to talk through various project ideas. So here, our current R&D voucher program ends in October, assuming that we will get the next year round of programs and start in January. Will the expense in November, December be covered by next year? So again, we can, if you email Franklin, we can talk about anyone who has a current voucher program, and what are the stipulations and for you completing that project before applying for the next round of our funding. So the easiest way is to really just give us a call. We'll talk through where you are with your current project, and when you'll be eligible to apply for the next round of these voucher programs, which we're looking to launch these applications in mid-November. Let's see, how long is the round of funding anticipated to last for? And given the interest in the last round of funding, how long do you anticipate the budgeted amount for the project to last for? So, you know, these voucher programs, I think Franklin and Francis will agree, are highly, highly sought after grants. They are non-competitive grant programs, so we can approve them on a rolling basis. If funds are depleted from either one of the programs, either the Catalyst voucher or the Clean Tech voucher, we immediately go back to our board to request approval to increase the budgets for both of these programs. So again, we're always, you know, so don't allow that to keep you from applying. The funds will be there to support as many companies as we can support. What is the percentage of applications were approved in the last round? It's hard to give you a percentage, but I think, again, if you meet all of the eligibility requirements, if you have a project that requires a core facility or specialized equipment at a core facility, then you're automatically really approved for this program. So typically many of the applications that we receive, if they fall within the eligibility requirements, we can approve. Sometimes the only reasons why we are unable to approve some of our applications, it's because the scope of the work is larger than the voucher need. In terms of maybe they should be applying for our seed grants and not just a voucher program, a voucher grant. Other times companies confuse the clean tech and the voucher. So, you know, we've had clean tech companies apply for our clean tech, our catalyst, and they should be applying for our clean tech. So there's just some types of confusion there. But again, it's a very simple application process and a very simple approval process if you are if you are eligible. So I don't see too many more questions in the Q&A or in the chat. I think we're good to go here. So any final thoughts, Franklin?
Yeah, sure. I look forward to reviewing exciting applications and, of course, assisting our prospective applicants and, you know, our old timers as much as possible. And please, if you have any questions or require guidance or some information, feel free to reach out to myself on the clean tech side and to Francis on the Catalyst side.